On this episode of AVSocial, we talk with Biamp about their TLUX promotion. 1 year ago, they had a top secret promotion that encouraged people to come by their booth at InfoComm 2016. How that rolled out and what their KPIs were. All that and more next on AVSocial.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
Support for AVSocial comes from our fine group of underwriters, companies like Biamp. This is AVSocial, episode 22, recorded Friday, March 10th, 2017. Secret Agent PR.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dawn Mead. Welcome to another episode of AVSocial. I am here this afternoon with my co-host, Kelly Perkins. Say hi to everyone, Kelly.
Hello, everyone.
And we are joined today by our very special guest, Amanda Rowe, who, if my information is correct, is the Global Public Relations Manager for Biamp Systems.
That's right. Hi.
Welcome to the show, Amanda. What we're going to do today, folks, for those of you that are familiar with our show, usually we pick a topic about marketing and social media and just talk about it to death, or occasionally have an author on to talk about their book. Today we're going to do the first in what I hope is going to be a series of interviews with marketing or public relations people in our industry about a specific campaign or a specific effort that they put forth for their company that really made an impact or a stir in the industry, and how you can take their lessons to heart for your own company. So we're joined today by Amanda. And one of the reasons that we have you on here is Kelly and Tim have been raving since InfoComm of last year about your cool magic spy release that was sent out. Now, I work for a teeny tiny little itty bitty integrator that isn't on the big mailing list like the consultants and the great big companies. So I didn't get to see this cool thing. So let's start out just by telling us a little bit about what your campaign was. And if you, I believe you have the things there to show us a little bit of what you had. So Amanda, show us what you did. That's very cool that they're still talking about a year later.
Thank you. So it was one of the things that was really difficult is trying to figure out how we could afford to send it to everybody, because we really wanted to be able to send it to everybody, and then we realized, okay, the cost of this, we're going to have to kind of narrow that invite list. So I think that was the hardest thing to do, was to figure out who received it and who didn't.
Don't worry, I don't take it personal.
So we were so excited about launching to TLUX, because we have actually been working on video for 10 years. And we have been waiting for the technology to be able to catch up to what we wanted to do, something that was equitable with our audio. And so when the stars all came together and technology caught up, we, as a team, and I'm on an amazing team. Our team is very eclectic personality-wise. There's no two people on our team that is alike, which is great. And we sat down and we brainstormed, what can we do that would be different? Because we didn't want to do the traditional, put out a press release, do a press conference, and then just announce it. We wanted to really have some fun. And for anybody that's familiar with Biamp, we're a growing global company, but we really do kind of hold our roots to that quirky, engineers that love music, etc. So we came up with this, kind of this spy thing where, we wanted to kind of tease, and we wanted to give people a little bit of a test or a little taste of what was coming out and kind of build that momentum. And so we ended up coming up with a few different little tiny mini teaser videos, which we put out on social media, and kind of built it and timed it so that each week, every couple of weeks, you would see this new snippet of a video as if you were a secret agent accepting a mission and moving forward. And so you had to collect all of the key words. And so eventually what happened is, through the course of these little videos, and you were to go to the booth and give your secret saying, and then you got a prize. In the interim in tandem as that was playing out as we were building up to InfoComm, we came up with this mailer, which you referenced, and I don't know if you can kind of see it, but it's top secret. And you can see on here, it says the chosen, that's who it's selected, is the group of individuals are the chosen, and then open immediately and do not tell anybody. And inside of this information, there was a secret card with a recording. It did not self-destruct. That was something that we made sure that we kind of stayed away from. But it looks like, and you have your typical redacted letter, and you had kind of like little photocopies of some photos that were kind of sneakily taken, et cetera, that kind of showed a little bit of what we were working on. And if you played this, I don't know if, Dawn, if I want to play this, because it can be kind of loud. But it basically said, tell no one, this is what's coming, it's a secret, come to the booth, et cetera. So when you came up with the saying and you came to the booth, then you basically received this Google goggle, the paper goggles, and you could pop it out and you could fold it up and put your phone into it and watch the teaser videos and then the final hero video in a 3D approach that basically, was capable through this cardboard. So it was a fun campaign. It was a way that we really wanted to kind of make a different splash and really share something that we were excited, tying in the whole video aspect of it.
That's awesome. I can see why Kelly and Tim have been raving about it for, most of a year now. Kelly, anything to add since you actually got one of these? Did you play the game? Did you follow the clues or?
Yeah, it was super cool. I actually, I didn't actually receive it first, but I mentioned something on social media because everybody was talking about it and it was kind of this big thing. And I just reached out on social media and I was like, oh, can I get one, please? And then they got one. But I was walking around the office, like showing everybody, like, this is so cool. And I go to like my design engineers and they're like, oh yeah, we got that like 2 weeks ago. No, it was an awesome campaign and super creative. I am curious though, like as far as who you sent it to, how did you decide who the chosen ones were?
We worked internally with sales and identified who it was that they wanted to ensure received it. And then from a PR standpoint, because I managed with PR and social media, I wanted to make it a little bit more unique. And so I actually hand wrote notes out to each of the editors. So I was allotted a certain number of these packets. And so I had to go through and I had to hand pick the editors that I could send this to. And I did. I just there's been so many times when in our careers where we have to show something to somebody. And so we go quickly run a copy of it and then quickly scribble a note and leave it for them on their desk. So that was the feeling that I wanted to get, but more on kind of on the sly and kind of secretly. So that's how we picked it. That's how I selected editors that were to get it. It was something to make them kind of rise above the noise. Mm-hmm. And I know Cynthia Weishart, the editor at SBC, she said that she still has it sitting in her office, and every once in a while her daughter, she'll either hit it or her daughter will hit it and it will go off. So I know it's still hanging around. I think people really enjoyed it. I know we enjoyed making it.
That's very cool. I know you said you brought it about. It came about because you really wanted to introduce the TLUX with a bang because it's a product you're very excited about. What specifically came up with the idea of using secret documents? I mean, do you have a James Bond fan on the team, or Blacklist? How did you approach the creative aspect of it to say this is what we want to do for this cool pre-InfoComm thing?
We actually were brainstorming and we tapped an external agency to help offload some of the hours, we needed more hands because as you guys know, especially if you work for, a lean team, is that there's always more work than you have hands. And so we had a few ideas and then our partner really kind of ran with it and said, this idea of doing something that's more of like a secret agent, James Bondy-ish, really can be cool. And so they started running with a couple of different options. And we knew as soon as we saw one that this was this one was the one that we had envisioned as a team in our head. And so it really was a collective, it really was a collective, collaborative effort, because everybody was throwing in ideas, and it just naturally kind of raised up which one was the best one. So
very cool. I know we're currently sitting here in March, so post ISE, pre-InfoComm 2017. It's for those of us that are just integrators, it's the lull, but I'm sure those of you at manufacturers are in crazy season trying to prepare. This campaign with the secret documents was for InfoComm 2016. How do you choose what shows or what events to launch a big promotion like this for?
So we look at obviously what the production schedule is and what is viable as far as matching up and correlating with the calendar, basically. And because ISE and InfoComm are such large shows, those are natural fit. So often those are the two shows that we really do make our major announcements on, because we have the biggest audience, and of course it's kind of fun to be able to follow up like we did last year and share with people in person what we were announcing and what we were saying. So we've, over the years, and especially as ISE has grown and InfoComm is such a strong show, those just naturally rise to the top as far as, when we make big announcements.
Okay. Kelly, anything you'd like to ask or add?
What are you doing this year?
Spoiler alert.
Tell you. InfoComm will be a lot of fun. It will not be at the caliber level, as far as like the surprise and the marketing and the PR up to it. But it will be a good show. We do have some things to share. But we are still, we're excited because we're going to be sharing to TLUX. It'll be shipping. And so I know that we have many integrators and a number of end users that are waiting to incorporate it into solutions. So it'll be a good show. It'll be some exciting announcements. So we're looking forward to it.
Awesome.
Wonderful. One last question on the SPY documents. So when you do a promotion like that, and that one in particular, did you see more of your traction from that on social media? Did you see an increase in booth traffic as a result? Did you get more phone calls? Like, what on earth is this? What's going on? How did that provide tangible results for Biamp as a result of the campaign?
Yeah. How do you measure if it's a success?
Yeah, so I worked with my teams and we set up, some basic KPIs. We wanted to, and since we'd never done anything like this in the past, we were like, let's just put a stake in the ground and let's put some stretch goals in there. And so we had, all of our social media platforms, our Twitter, our Facebook, even our LinkedIn. And we wanted to make sure that we really engaged with people. Biamp is known in the industry. We've been around for 40 years, but this is a whole new chapter in our history, in our participation in our pro AV industry. So I noticed definitely that there were a lot more retweets, a lot more at messages, and even direct messaging from a number of people. Our following grew significantly. It went beyond all of our KPIs that we had listed. Our Twitter followers grew significantly. Our Facebook followers grew significantly. And I've noticed since then that people engage with us on social media at a level that we hadn't yet experienced before. So for us, it was an absolute win-win, because it showed a approachable and an authentic side that we at Biamp think is, this is just our everyday kind of silliness and love of what we do. But it also enabled us to engage with people in the true spirit of social media, so on the platform. So it's been great, because it's really opened up the platforms for us, and we've had some wonderful conversations. So
that's great. So and going along with that, you mentioned social media a lot, and of course, we're all marketers here, PR people. We this is what we do now. It's 2017. I mean, you have to be doing social. So that is obviously a change. But what has been your biggest change, do you think, in communicating messages to dealers and end users, technologists about Biamp in the last 10 years? Is it more of a change in your focus as a company with including the video? Is it more of a change on how you deliver that message? What do you think is the biggest challenge and change in the past, say, decade?
I think, it's interesting because even though we kind of reside in high tech, we're not really what you would call, the pro AV industry is not truly a technology industry yet. When I think technology, I think of my past lives when Xerox, Tektronix, Hewlett Packard, Intel. So the challenge really was drawing and getting individuals, whether they were integrators, whether they were dealers, whether they were actual end users that were trained and really were very self-sufficient in creating their AV systems, drawing them in and getting them to engage on social media. Because as an industry, as I'm sure you both have seen, Pro AV doesn't necessarily engage much beyond Facebook. Now, over the past 12 months, I've seen a significant increase in activity on Twitter, not just with our followers, but in looking at the metrics overall. So that was the biggest challenge, I think, was really getting people to engage, getting people to respond and interact. And as soon as we gave them something that was kind of fun and quirky and interesting, it became much easier. The change of it over the last 10 years, I would say, is really that where traditionally it was, a newsletter or it was an email or even a direct mail piece mailed to them. Now things happen so instantly and you can respond and you can have these rapport with new people that you couldn't have before unless they actually called or unless you called them. So I really think that the use of social media has really deepened what we as marketers and what we as PR professionals can do with our industry to a great extent.
That's great. Kelly, anything you want to add or any questions?
Yeah, I just had, I know I've heard from several of your colleagues that you guys have taken a bit of a turn to focus a little bit more on marketing to end users. And I was just curious how, as a manufacturer, you go about doing that, and do you specifically target verticals? Do you specifically target geographical areas? Just maybe a couple, summarize, how and maybe why you've shifted a little bit to end user marketing.
Okay. So we have found, so the way that we do business is it's not uncommon for our global sales team to work directly with integrators or outside of the United States or North America, work directly with distributors and their integrators hand in hand. We have sales engineers that work directly with integrators and even end users. So we really flatten the layers that it takes to get the end user to the expertise so that the result is a win-win all around. And over the past several years, because we have worked we've worked with, I should say, some very large technology companies, doing their conferencing rooms, doing their huddle rooms, et cetera. We realized that there was an opportunity when we had like the IT group of a large museum come to us and say, we actually want our team to be certified on your products so that they're not just making a phone call, that they actually understand the philosophy and how everything works so that if something unforeseen happens, they can just jump in and address it as opposed to grabbing a phone and calling. And so it's not necessarily a shift away from, but it's really more of a shift to include end users that are in that situation, that they find themselves with an IT team or an AV team that, want and have that bandwidth. They want that understanding and that knowledge. And so from a marketing standpoint, it's really understanding how the IT views the AV system on their network, understanding, and I hate to use this overused word, but understanding their pain points, understanding the problems that they deal with or the challenges, and being part of the solution. So if they, ask, even if it's not a manufacturer of ours, whether it's speakers or something else, is saying, we either have the answer or let's pull this individual into the conversation. And so we found that just works really well to create customers and partners. And so marketing to them, it just seemed like a no-brainer to let them know that, with training, our training is free. More and more of it is online. It's something that you can be certified in, and we literally are just a phone call away. So,
and do you get quite a bit of like, I guess I would say, do you connect a lot via social media with end users?
Define a lot. I would say that we definitely had an increase in the number of end users where, for example, like even this morning when I was calling through our social media responses and notifications, I noticed that we had 2 end users that, sent one through a DM and another one just through social media, sent us a picture of the rack and our equipment in it.
Cool.
And, exactly. And it was just like, oh, it makes my heart sing. But it was, it was like every PR and marketing person's dream, right?
Yes.
But they sent it and they said, our experience was so great. Thank you for working with other manufacturers, and thank you for making this work, because now our sound system goes throughout the whole facility or went throughout the whole building. So
awesome.
There's definitely an uptick in that direct conversation, which happens because of social media. And instead of being a phone call away, you're more like a chat away, literally, because you have that persona and that I don't want to say brand, but that human element that all of a sudden you're much more approachable and much more attainable if somebody wants to talk to you. So
right.
Cool.
That goes for the other way too. They're much more quick to say, I have an issue here and I cannot seem to make it work, and I need somebody to call, or somebody to call me, or who do I call? And I actually love those because I can immediately just cut and paste and direct, and one of our guys will immediately pick up the phone and call the individual. So
that's great. So as we wrap up our show and our conversation here with Amanda, let's just look at a big picture recap or lesson learned. So Amanda, if you could say, what was your number one thing that you learned or experienced with this campaign that excites you or was new for you that you'll use going forward, what would you say that is, just off the top of your head?
Off the top of my head, I would say have fun, think outside the box, because I think we all want information, and the information is available, but I think to have it given to us or delivered it to us in a way that kind of makes us go, oh, that's kind of fun, kind of quirky. So really thinking outside your normal comfort zone, or just what you normally would have done. And again, just to have fun. So
great. Kelly, do you have any takeaways of just from our conversation or from having received it?
Just kudos to you guys. That campaign was fantastic, and I absolutely loved it. And just to all the other manufacturers in the Pro AV collab tech industry, take Amanda's advice and think outside the box and do some cool stuff, because I think it's worth it, and people notice it, and it for lack of any ROI metrics, analytics, etc., at least it gets people talking about you and your brand and your company.
Exactly. And for myself, I know my big takeaway, it's something I've taught in my social media classes at Infocom and elsewhere, but also just from having this conversation, and that's authenticity. And it goes along with being fun. If you're watching this and your company Twitter handle or your company social media presence is just a corporate logo and a faceless blurb that comes out, it's not as effective as if you are Kelly at whoever, wherever, Amanda, Dawn at wherever, and have that personality. Don't be afraid to show it. Don't be afraid, like Amanda said, to be quirky, because as you heard, they blew out all of their KPIs with this campaign by being fun, by being quirky. And that's the kind of effort and authenticity that people respond to. Right. So don't go corporate and wholesale entity. Have fun and you'll get the response.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you so much, Amanda, for being with us today. We appreciate you coming out. Amanda, tell us a little bit about where people can reach you, or how we can find you, where we can hunt you down at Infocom, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Well, you can always find us at biamp.com. And of course, at Infocom booth. We will definitely be there with bells on. Majority of our team, marketing team, a good portion of them will be there. So I'm more than happy to answer any questions. Patrick, we've all just, we have such a great team that it really does make a pleasure to come to work and to go to trade shows, when you're living with your colleagues for 10 days. So come visit us, come find us, have some conversations with us. I'd love to answer any questions.
Awesome. And Kelly, thank you again for co-hosting as normal. Where can people find you online or elsewhere?
At AVI_Kelly on Twitter, LinkedIn, AVIsystems.com, kind of anywhere. Reach out. Feel free if you have any questions or suggestions.
Okay. And as usual, I'm Dawn Mead, and you can find me online almost everywhere, including Twitter at AVDawn. I also am at NetAV, NET_AV on Twitter, but NET-AV.com on the interwebs for web pages purposes. And of course, you can find me always here on AVNation.tv on various podcasts, including our AVSocial show. Once again, Amanda and Kelly, thanks so much for joining us this afternoon. Amanda, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Wonderful. And hopefully we can have you back sometime.
I would love it.
Maybe talk about what you did at 2017's InfoComm once we get it over with.
There you go.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks to all of you out there in Cyberland for watching. And we'll see you the next time here on AVSocial. Bye.